think since the time I can remember, I always wanted to be involved in athletics. I love to compete. It's about the mindset and it's about the standard that you hold yourself to and those around you to that's going to help you rise to the level of greatness. And that's something that we're always trying to impress upon these players because it transcends football. It goes towards everything they're going to do in their life.
So today I'm joined by our head coach, football coach Jim Mora. We are excited to visit with you today and learn more about you and what did bring you to UConn. So Coach, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, so if you can elaborate a little about what did bring you to UConn, why UConn, how did you contact David Benedict, our athletic director, and express your interest in UConn?
Well, you know, when there was a change made at head coach, I was living in Idaho. I'd been involved with ESPN since I'd left UCLA, and I wanted to get back to coaching. And I was looking for certain things in the place that I went to next, and that was a college environment, a college town, which we have here in Stores. I was looking for a place where there'd be support from the administration, athletic department. I was familiar with this area because I'd spent a lot of time back here when I was working for ESPN. I'd been on campus, I'd seen the facilities. Certainly, you know, UConn is a global brand and everybody knows the name. Football was struggling a little bit, and I saw it as an opportunity to come in and make an impact, not only on the field, but hopefully with our student athletes in their lives in general. And I'll tell you this, so far it's been an amazing experience for me and a wonderful experience for me.
So this is not the first time that you identify yourself as a Husky. You are a graduate of University of Washington. You competed on the football team. And tell us, what did you learn from your college experience in Seattle?
That's right. I've been a Husky before. I was a Washington Husky. Now I'm a UConn Husky and very proud of it. You know, college is a different experience for the student athlete. It's very, very, very demanding. And it was demanding when I was a player, just trying to manage the time spent on academics as well as athletics. And then there's a social component as well. And you're away from home for the first time. You know, what I learned is it's so important to have a support group, a group of people around you that can help you when you're having a tough day. And also, when you are a student athlete, you know, I learned this at University of Washington, is people are looking at you when you don't know that they're looking at you, and you've got a platform in which to do good things. So we are always encouraging those guys to remember you are a role model, whether you believe it or not, or want to be or not. People are looking at you, and let's use the position for good for others.
So since you arrived at campus, you took a holistic approach about our student athletes and their well-being, and you work with your staff. And mental health issue is a huge issue at the campuses today. So if you can tell us what is your approach when it comes to student athletes and your staff, and how do you support the mental health of our student athletes?
Well, I think college is such an amazing opportunity for these kids. And for our young men, the opportunities that presents to them, they're so vast. But with that comes a lot of pressure. And in our society today, I think social media puts so much pressure on these young people. You know, every time they look at Instagram or they look at Twitter, they're comparing their real life to somebody else's highlight reel. And that can be real debilitating if you're not careful. And we're really tuned in to their mental health, to where they are emotionally at this point in their life on a day in and day out basis. In the old days, when I first started coaching, if someone was having a bad day, you said, hey, get with it. You know, what the heck's going on? You know, snap to. And now I think it's important to ask, hey, how are you feeling? You know, because there's so many things that are going on in their lives that they hide from us, that they disguise, that we don't see. And, you know, I look at my responsibility and my staff's responsibility as so much more than just winning football games. It's helping these young people to develop into the young men their parents wanted them to be, dream of them being. It's to help them prepare for a future that will be successful on and off the field, and largely off the field because their career ends at some point. We want to teach them how to be good brothers and great husbands and superior fathers and contributing members of our society. And if we're not tuned in to where they are emotionally, it's really hard to do that. And so it's for me personally, when I look at our young men, I'm trying to read their faces, I'm trying to learn their looks, I'm trying to understand their moods. And before I jump them, I want to know if there's something going on back here that's affecting them up here.
Oh, that's beautiful. So you had been as an athlete and as a coach in this for more than 40 years. So our football team, as everybody knows, has a number of years of challenges. And talk about resilience of the team and readiness. And how do you feel that young men and the coaches that support you are now effectively overcoming of emotional challenges, of fighting and believing that they can win?
I mean, you're not kidding. They've been through a lot. I mean, you know, they have not experienced a lot of success on the field. They went through a COVID year, which was hard on all of us, but it was really hard on these kids. They stayed on campus. They were locked up in their dorms. They had to eat in waves. They didn't get to work out together. They were socially isolated, which a lot of us were. These are young men that are so used to competing and being a part of something that's so close-knit, and that was pulled away from them. And then they come back last year in 2021, and after 3 or 4 games, their head coach is gone, and there's a new man standing in front of them. And then in November, all of a sudden, they've got another new guy standing in front of them, myself as their head coach. And I tell them all the time how impressive it is that they're still sitting here with this, with the attitude and the strength that they have. And I think, you know, it's a cliche, but, you know, adversity reveals character. And I think these guys have been through a lot, and I think that they have really high character. One of the things that I've learned about our team is that they have the least sense of entitlement of any group of young men that I've ever coached, actually any team I've ever coached. They feel like they need to work for everything rather than being given anything. And I really appreciate that about these guys. This is a group that could have really gone in the tank emotionally. And they've had challenges emotionally, but as long as we support it and they know that it's okay to have those challenges and we'll help them through it, they're going to continue to grow. But they inspire me every day just because they're still sitting here and they're still competing and they still have smiles on their face, and I love that.
Isn't that amazing? I think it's a two-way street. You also inspire them, and they want to give the best, and they want to meet everybody's expectations, and they work so hard. But on the global stage, there are so many changes in athletic sports and college sport, and there are realignments, conference realignments, name, image, and likeness, and many opportunities and challenges for students, athletes, and coaches. So how do you and your staff adjust to these changes?
Well, there's a lot going on. With regards to conference realignment, it's not anything that I can control right now. And so I largely ignore it. The fact that we're not in a conference, I think some people could see that as a negative, but in recruiting, I paint it as a positive because it allows us to go play anybody we want in the country, and we have a tough schedule. We get to play on national TV. We play against the best, and if you want to be the best, you have to measure yourself against the best. So for me, that's great. I think the name, image, and likeness is really challenging, and I think there's a lot of gray area in there. I personally believe that college athletes should be compensated in some way. I don't have the answer as to how it should happen, but I know the challenges, I know the commitments they make, I know the time restraints that are put on these young men, and I believe that they should somehow be rewarded for that. I've coached many students that, we'd walk through the bookstore and their jersey would be hanging up in the bookstore for sale for $85, and yet we'd go upstairs to Taco Bell and they didn't have enough money to buy a bean and cheese burrito. And that just didn't make sense to me. So many of these kids come from backgrounds that are so challenging. And yes, to have an athletic scholarship is amazing. The opportunity to go get an education is amazing. But the revenues that they generate, to me, somehow at some level should be shared. I wish I was smart enough to give you an exact answer, but I don't know that anyone's figured that out yet. So, we're navigating that, and it's constantly changing. It's so fluid. And yet, our young men, have this amazing ability to put all that behind them and just focus on the task at hand, which is being the best they can every single day. And it's, like I said, it's inspiring to be around them.
Thank you. It seems life was so beautiful for you. You built a new house in Sun Valley, Idaho, and everything was great. And then you decided to move to haunted house in Stores. So tell us, what compelled you to take on this new challenge and move to Connecticut?
Well, you're right. I was living a good life in Sun Valley, Idaho, in the mountains, doing a lot of the things that I love to do. But my passion has always been coaching. And I spent so much time in the NFL, and I did love coaching the NFL, but when I went to UCLA, I discovered like a new level of excitement about what I do. And sure, I want to win games on Saturdays, but at this level in college football, the ability to have an impact on these young people and make a difference in their lives, that was something I just missed desperately. You know, did I miss game day? Yes, I missed game day. Did I miss practice? Yes, I missed practice. But what I missed more than anything was just the interactions with the players and the staff. And I desperately wanted another chance. And I'm so fortunate to have this opportunity here. And that life will be there when I get done here. But right now, what I want to do is do a great job here, hopefully enrich the lives of these student athletes, contribute to this community, and along the way win a lot of football games.
When I looked at the picture of area where you live with your lovely wife and scenery and mountains and field, I said, oh my goodness, it's amazing. So I'm sure you have a lot of activities, you know, besides of being with players and in the games and recreational activities. So how do you feel about our state and what you can do that you can relax and enjoy the sceneries?
Well, that's kind of on hold for right now, but I love our area. I love to hike, I love to fly fish, I love to mountain bike. Kathy and I just love getting out in the community and going to, restaurants and just being around people. We're empty nesters at this point in time, and as you said, living in a haunted house, which we love. That was a joke, but it took on a life of its own. But
it's a steam boiler.
It is the steam boilers. They start on one side and they kind of move around the room. But no, I found so much to do here, and at the end of the day, I'm a homebody. And I want to be at work around these people or at home with Kathy, or Kathy, she's here so often. So it's been amazing to live here in Stores.
So your father was, coach, and your family lived in several different locations and moved. So what that meant for you as a growing up and not having the base or roots and moving, and how that built your character?
Well, I had to adapt. I had to adapt quickly. We moved a lot, and that's the life of a coach's family. And I was grateful to have an incredibly supportive mom who, when my dad went to work and he'd move away for a couple months before we joined him, she could hold it down. And so, my kids have had to do the same thing, basically. They haven't had to make this last move with me, but I think it's given me a sense of resilience. I think it's helped me adapt to different environments and different personalities. And I think in general, it's given me a sense of respect for other people living other lives than the one that I have, or the one that the people that I've been exposed to. I've seen so many different things and been exposed to so many different people and so many different cultures, and I think it's just made me probably a little bit more patient, is what it's done.
So you mentioned your family and your brothers, and they choose different career paths. So what was it about the game that you decided as soon as you graduated to follow your father's footsteps and go in the coaching?
I think since the time I can remember, I always wanted to be involved in athletics. When I was graduating from the University of Washington, I was initially going to go to USC as a graduate student in their sports administration program and be a graduate assistant coach, but I got an opportunity coming right out of college to go into the NFL and work for the San Diego Chargers. And initially I was going to work in their front office, but every day I felt myself pulled more and more towards the coaching aspect. And I think I love to compete. I love the strategy part of it. I love being around competitive people, and I love the strategy of trying to go out and compare wits or match wits with an opponent where you are judged on a Saturday or a Sunday, and that just drew me to it. My brothers are in different fields. One's an architect, one's an investment banker, but we're all alike, except we all love football. I just chose the crazy life of a coach.
Is that beautiful? One helps you to build a house, one helps to manage your money.
There you go.
And then you have all the fun.
That's right. We got it handled.
Yeah. So it's not that I enjoy reading about you, but I also like to read about your children. And you know, you have amazing children. And the reader is one that I was thinking about. You know, who helps homeless people in Los Angeles and environmental sustainability. So can you talk to all our audience and people and students who are listening, how important is to give back? And I always say charity comes from home. So it must be that you taught them, you know, what a charity means and the joy of giving back.
My mom was very philanthropic, very philanthropic. And so it was kind of built into what we did as a family. When I became the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, we decided that we had a little bit of a platform where we could affect some change. I'd been involved with Special Olympics for about 20 years at that point in time, but now had a position where it could probably draw some interest and raise some money for causes that we felt were important. And so we created a foundation, a 501c3 called the Count on Me Family Foundation. And we were involved with at-risk and in-need youth. And from the very day that we started that, we got our kids involved and made sure that they had a real understanding of how important it was as you're climbing to reach back and pull someone up with you. And it resonated with all my kids. They're all involved in philanthropic endeavors. I'm really proud of my middle son, Ryder, who in college started a 501c called Improper Etiquette with some of his friends. And as you said, they raise money, they collect goods, and they distribute them in the homeless areas of Los Angeles. They started a clothing brand where a large percentage of any of the money that they earn goes towards, you know, helping the homeless in LA. And so I'm just really proud of all my kids for the empathy that they have for others. And I think it's so important, and hopefully that gets passed to their kids and on to their kids, and we just can continue that.
I always believe that empathy is very important, and that you get greater joy by giving than receiving, and that's something that we want to teach our students and our children. But empowering and inclusion of women in football is another positive movement that is gaining traction in both college and professional ranks. So you recently hired Mickey Grace to serve on your staff. So can you tell us a little about Mickey and how impressed you are with her and how convinced you are that she's a great fit to where you want to go and at UConn?
Yeah, well, I certainly believe in inclusion, you know, and just because you look a certain way, or you're a certain gender, or you have certain beliefs, or you identify as something other than what I identify as, doesn't mean that you're less capable of accomplishing whatever your dreams are. And Mickey is a great example of that. You know, this is a single black mother who decided she wanted to be a football coach, who's from Philadelphia and has overcome so much, and it's her strength of will that's allowed her to overcome. And as I watch Mickey, not only has she overcome, but she's so committed to helping those that are following in her footsteps. She's, I don't look at Mickey as anything other than an amazing female that is an amazing coach. And I almost made a mistake there. And it's a mistake that Mickey pointed out to me, and I think it's important for me to say it. I almost said, I only look at Mickey as a football coach. And if I said that, I'd be minimizing who she is. And I said that to her once. She said, no, you need to recognize me as a black female football coach, because then you're recognizing what I've overcome to become what I am now, which is you just thinking me as a football coach. And so she's helped me in so many ways. Like, as a 60-year-old, there's so many things I don't know that I need to know to work with this generation. And so she's helped me with that. But she's a great person, number one. And I think that's what you always look at, is someone that are they a person of integrity, right? Do they have empathy? Are they selfless? Do they care about others? Do they want to serve others? And in Mickey, that is the person we're looking at. And she's a really good football coach, and the players really respect her. And I would like to see more and more women that want the opportunity to get the opportunity to become what was predominantly a male, vocation.
Football is something that everybody is concerned of the safety, and you had been always vocal how important is the safety. So what is your approach to safety, and how you employ the technologies, and what is the next?
Well, player safety is the number one priority. At this level is different than the NFL level. And at the NFL level, it's so much more, it's their profession, and they are men, and they are able to make some choices for themselves, and they know when they're putting themselves in harm's way and what the sacrifices, what the consequences are. In college, I think it's up to us to protect these people, these young men. We have to make some decisions for them to protect them. Player safety has always been something that I've been very concerned with, and specifically when it comes to head, neck, and spine. Those are different injuries than a broken wrist or a blown out knee or a sprained ankle. Every injury is serious, but there are some that can be debilitating. And so since I left the Seattle Seahawks in 2010, I've been really involved with studying brain trauma. And I sit on 3 or 4 boards where we're trying to develop new helmets, new technology for impact monitoring, new devices that can protect our athletes. Because those are some things that you can't recover from. I think that we're very proactive here when it comes to concussion or concussion-like symptoms. I talked earlier about looking in someone's eyes and getting a feel for who they are and what they feel, and it's the same thing with injuries. You have to know your players, and you have to know when they're trying to hide something from you, and you have to make sure that you take steps to protect them when the competitor in them doesn't want to protect themselves.
You had opportunity to coach many great players, but when you summarize 40 years of your career, who are the people that come to your mind first, and how those people influenced and shaped your philosophy when it comes to coaching?
That's a great question. I've been around some great coaches and some great players, and the first person that comes to mind is my dad. I'm really lucky to have been brought up and have worked with, someone I have great respect for. He's a man of integrity, toughness, he's fair, he's a really good coach. He was disciplined, he was tough, but he also was empathetic. Bill Walsh is another great coach that I was able to work for. But some of the players I think have had the most impact on me. I've been lucky to be around a lot of Hall of Famers, a lot of the greatest of the greats, guys like Jerry Rice and Ronnie Lott, and guys like Chris Dolman and Ricky Jackson and Steve Young and Sam Mills, and the list kind of goes on. And what all of them, I think, collectively taught me is that it's not always about the talent. It's about the mindset, and it's about the standard that you hold yourself to and those around you to that's going to help you rise to the level of greatness. And that's something that we're always trying to impress upon these players, because it transcends football. It goes towards everything they're going to do in their life. Is what is the standard that you hold yourselves to? What are you trying to accomplish, and are your actions in alignment with your goals? The things you're doing on a day-to-day basis, are they in alignment with what you are seeking to become? And if they're not, you're fooling yourself. And let's be straight with ourselves. So, like I said, I've been around a lot of great ones, tried to learn the lessons from them and apply them to my own life, but now, maybe more importantly, because where I am in life and where these guys are in life, apply it to them, teach them those lessons. We show them videos, we read them quotes, we give them books, we do all those things, just trying to enhance their ability to understand what success looks like and feels like.
Coach Mora, thank you so much for taking time to talk with me today. The whole UConn is cheering for you, the entire state of Connecticut, and we are going to see you on the field, and I wish you many wins.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.